Hello again, internet followers. Lewis Clark, aka Sonic Yoda of Sega Driven, back on your screen. Been away for a little while, so I've decided to come back, as you do, and we're doing a Sega Saturn collection video. So what we're going to do first then is head over to the collection. I'll show you what I've got, bits and pieces. I haven't been collecting for this console nearly as long. I've only owned it for about 5 years, actually. Probably the last Sega console I actually acquired. So yeah, let's go and have a look at the games, and then we'll go and do the Q&A. So this is the Saturn collection. At the back you can see my Power games, and at the front you can see my Japanese games, which I play with an action replay cartridge, which allows you to play the import stuff on a PAL Saturn. So there's 65 games in total, majority being Japanese. I'm a bit of a sucker for imports, and most of them were acquired on my last visit to Tokyo. And when I say most of them, I really do mean most of them. I really came back with an absolute bundle. Everywhere I go, there was lots of bargain shops that seemed to be selling things off at 100, 200 yen. I mean, I found like Dragon Force for 100 yen, and Snatcher was like 200 yen as well. So, yeah, I'm not going to pass those up. It's a cracking little collection, I suppose. Does exactly what I need it to. There's some good games there. The big old box at the back here is actually Nights with the 3D pad, and there's also a loose version of Christmas Nights in there as well. I now have those Japanese as well, because they come in nice cases. But yeah, there's some good bits and pieces here. There's some weird things that I like. I'm a big fan of the Neon Genesis Evangelion series, so there's a few games there which I bought just for the hell of it. That's all the Shining Force episodes, because it comes over 3 books, and for some reason in the PAL region we only got the first one. Some Street Fighters, a Macross game. It's actually quite a good shmup, actually, and runs over 2 discs, so it's quite a long little thing. Lots of video on it. But yeah, there's a collection. So I guess over to the Q&A. Right, okay, Q&A time. So let's head over to the questions. So first one comes from James Bernard of Spring Loaded Games. Thanks for the question, buddy. And if you haven't checked out Spring Loaded Games, make sure you do. They made a fantastic set of iOS games, my favourite being Hiragana Pixel Party, which is a rhythm game which kind of teaches you Japanese, which is kind of lovely and unique and just a bit of fun. Definitely go and check that one out. James asks, is it true that the Sega Saturn is so awesome that it will get me pregnant even though I am a man? And if the Sega Saturn were a person, it would be the greatest person on Earth, and Earth could just give up trying after that. Yeah, right, okay. Next question comes from Gary Owen, and he asks, why is the 32X so much better than the Sega Saturn? Well, Gary, I'm glad to see that there are people that are, rabid fans of the 32X. But personally, I feel that the 32X is inferior to the Sega Saturn and doesn't have the vast library of games that the Sega Saturn offers. And quite a varied one it is too. So I'm afraid we're going to have to agree to disagree on this one, Gary. But thanks for the question either way. Okay, right, so Barry Topping of Game Wank and One More Go, you should go and check those 2 podcasts out, absolutely brilliant stuff. He asks, what are some lesser known Japan-only titles that the usual best Saturn games list might miss? Now, I'm going to pick 3. I don't own them, unfortunately, but they are on my to-own list, but they're getting quite expensive now. The first 2 are connected, so it's Donpachi and Dodonpachi. So they are the first 2 games in the Donpachi series by Cave. Great shmups if you've never played any of the Dodonpachi series. Sorry, Donpachi. And yeah, so the first 2 entries are available on the Saturn. They're available on the PlayStation as well, but I think they're Japan exclusive. So it's your preference, basically, because both consoles are very similar. Saturn generally does sprites and 2D a lot better, so I would hazard a guess that they're probably the more desirable versions of the games. The other game I would really like is another shmup, actually, called Metal Black, which is a Taito shmup. I have played this because it was available on one of the Taito collections on PS2, and it's an absolutely fantastic game. There's a Dreamcast shooter called Border Down, which takes a lot of elements from Metal Black, which has a nice little Sega reconnection there. So yeah, no, great, really great game. And there's 3 off the top of my head that are I don't often see spoken about in best of lists, but are all Japan exclusive and definitely worth a look if you can find them cheap. So, next question comes from Andrew Wilson of Radio Sega, and he asks, have you ever gotten the chance to play Panzer Dragoon Saga, and if so, what do you think of it? Unfortunately, I have not ever had the chance to play Panzer Dragoon Saga. The only one I own is actually Panzer Dragoon 2 Zwei, so I've only ever played the on-rails ones. I have the first one on Sega PC somewhere, I don't know where it is in this room, but yeah, I mean, the Panzer Dragoon games are great, and I hear a lot of good things about Panzer Dragoon Saga because it adds a sort of openly world element to it with RPG bits and all that great stuff. But yeah, I don't have an opinion for you, my friend, unfortunately. So yeah, we'll get around to it at some point, but it's so desirable now, and I can't really bring myself to pay in advance. What's the word? Upwards of £100 is usually the sort of price I think that game now goes for, and that's just too much. All right. Next question comes from Liam Ashcroft, and he's a chap that works over at Sonic Rex and does Let's Play videos, so you should probably go and check him out as well. He asks, what do you reckon are the best Saturn... What do you reckon is the best Saturn fighting game? I'm going to go for a cop-out here and say the Street Fighter collection. This gives you Super Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and Street Fighter Alpha 2 Gold, so an expanded version of Street Fighter 2 Alpha. So that's a lovely cross-section of Street Fighter games all in one little box, and the Capcom 2D fighters are all fantastic on the Sega Saturn. I could recommend them all, to be honest with you. Marvel Superheroes, X-Men vs Street Fighter, X-Men Children of the Atom, yada yada yada. But yeah, there's a fantastic array of Capcom fighters to choose from on the Sega Saturn, and I could pick any one of them, to be honest with you. But that one for me personally is a favourite simply because it gives you so much in one box. So yeah, no, really good cross section of Street Fighter games as well. So yeah, that's going to be my choice. Okay, last question comes from Sai, aka the Sonic Mole. Sorry, I don't know your full name, but he asks, what are my favourite Saturn games? So I picked up a selection. The Sonic Jam is probably the one I put the most time into, regardless of the fact that it's all the Sonic games I've played for many years. But it's probably the best collection going on any console. But it's mainly the Sonic World thing I come back for, which is it's a 3D Sonic world that you can explore. It's not particularly big, but from there you can access a video gallery, which is probably the main thing I come back for, because some of the exclusive videos on Sonic Jam are absolutely amazing, and yeah, they're only available to that game, so I'd recommend it if you're a Sonic fan, definitely. Last Japan visit, well, I bought a Japanese copy as well, just because, why the hell not? The artwork is generally better on the Japanese games, alright? That's going to be my excuse. Okay, there we go. Right, next game is Saturn Bomberman. Absolutely brilliant. I love the Bomberman games, and this is probably the definitive Bomberman. Great story, single player mode, actually. There's a lot to do. It's, I mean, they talk about it being the best multiplayer one because you can play it locally 10 player with multi-taps. But I'm really enamoured with the single player mode as well. I think it's really good. It's certainly worth owning for that. Next game. This isn't great, but there's something about it I really like. Golden Axe the Duel. It's actually a Golden Axe 2D beat 'em up. No, sorry, not beat 'em up. It's a fighter, because a beat 'em up would suggest that it's just like the original Golden Axe, which it isn't. Yeah, so it's a one-on-one fighter. I love the sprite work in this, actually. It's fantastic. The artwork is brilliant, and the sprites are really big, and there's lots of animation going on, and it's just really nice. But yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a clunky fighter, but as originality goes, it's certainly one of the most interesting things in the Golden Axe library, let's put it that way. Next, I've chosen one of the better platformers going on Sega Saturn is Clockwork Knight. There's a sequel as well, but I don't unfortunately own that, but Clockwork Knight, the original, is fantastic. It reminds me of Klonoa quite a lot, actually. So the 2.5D style, and just very sort of family friendly, and just a really cool little game. I enjoy that one a lot. Right, I've got some Japanese ones here. So I'm obsessed with the Koro Q games. They do come out over here on occasion, but they come under different names. They're not usually called Korokyu. They're called like things like penny racers or gadget racers. But yeah, this one's exclusive to Japan. It's called Korokyu Park, and yeah, it's a sort of a super deformed driving game. So all the cars are all big and little and fat and cutesy looking, and the whole thing with this is that the more you play it, the better cars you unlock, and they can go for longer. They only have so much drive in them until you cross a line on the track, and then it switches to another car, which then flings off, and it's essentially like a penny racer, like a pullback type deal. So you have 3 car slots that you can fit in your inventory, and then you use them over one particular race. So as you go on, you'll unlock better things, which means you can get past later races and things. It's just a really good bit of fun, actually. And again, I love the Korokyu games. They're just a really good series that unfortunately don't have an awful lot of attention over in the West. Next, I've picked a shmup. This is called Layer Section. It has many different names, and I think it belongs to the Raystorm series, and I think it may be called Raystorm or Ray Force in different regions. But yeah, sort of top-down vertical shoot 'em up, and I really enjoy it. It's a great game. There's not much else I can show about it, actually. It's a shmup. It does exactly what it says on the tin, but it is good fun all the same time. And finally, I found this on my last visit to Japan as well. This is a sequel to the story of Thor, which is called Beyond Oasis in Europe. I had no idea this existed at all, and I saw it in like a bargain bin range for like 200 yen or something. And I've had a lot of fun with this, actually. And considering it's all in Japanese, it's pretty simple to play in and understand if you have no understanding of the language. So yeah, no, a really good little game there, and quite a surprise actually, because yeah, like I say, I didn't have any idea that it existed. Right, I think that's the last question. So thank you very much for everybody that submitted questions in advance. Next collection video will more than likely be the Dreamcast. So if you don't follow us on Twitter, follow us at SEGADriven. And if you don't like us on Facebook, like us at facebook.com/SEGADriven. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.